then we were in a few classes together in high school. My summer job after graduating from high school in 1969 was driving a local delivery truck. And one of the places that I would deliver to would be the Arcade Central School building, where Gwen was working doing cleaning for the summer. And when I arrived there at the school, I discovered that my load of formaldehyde that I was delivering, a case of it, several gallons of it, had fallen and broken in the back of the truck. And so I was in the process of cleaning out the back of my truck. If you know what formaldehyde smells like, it's makes your eyes water and everything, and it's just not, it's stinky. So I would be in the process of sweeping it out, and I asked if somebody could bring me a mop and a bucket. And so Gwen volunteered to bring me a mop and a bucket. And so I'm mopping and cleaning out the back of the truck, and I run in and mop some and clean some and run out, and my eyes were watering and I was gasping for breath. And she stood there and laughed at me pretty much the whole time. Thought that was the funniest thing she'd ever seen. She wasn't laughing with me, because I wasn't laughing. She was laughing at me. And so I finished the job cleaning it out and went on my way. And should I keep going? And so my buddies and I got together that evening. I told them about the situation with Gwendolyn Hurlbert, the goody two-shoes who always had good grades and we didn't. So I said, what should I do? And so they said, we came up with a plan. So we developed a plan of vengeance on Miss Hurlbert. I was going to take her to East Aurora to a movie the next evening, or sometime soon anyways, and at some point dismiss myself to go to the men's room and leave her there. And that was the plan, but I didn't do it. I took her home.
What do you remember about that day, Mom?
Well, I remember it sort of like he does, except that it was a very hot day, and it was very hard for him to breathe. And, of course, I was laughing because it was a pretty funny sight, seeing this big macho guy running in and out of this panel truck and choking and gagging and tears running down his face, and he's all bright red. It was pretty funny. And I don't remember what we talked about, but apparently whatever we talked about made an impression on him because, or maybe it's just because he's too nice a guy to leave a girl stranded 32 some miles from home with no ride back home. But anyway, he also tells the story. He said, I've been getting my revenge ever since I married her.
That's right.
Now, what did you first think when he called you up to ask you out? Were you surprised?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because I had known him in school, and he ended up in my math class because he had not succeeded in one of his math courses. So instead of being a year ahead of me, like when I was in algebra, he should have been in geometry, but he was in algebra with me, and then he was in geometry with me. And I knew he was struggling in those classes, but I didn't have that much of a problem with math. And I think that they thought that I was a snob, but I was very shy. Yes, I was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was kind of surprised that because he was one of the athletes in the school. He'd been on the football team. He'd been a wrestler. He was in the Key Club. He was in FFA. He was one of the guys that everybody looked up to. And here I'm just little old me. I was surprised that anybody was interested in me. Came at Christmas time. He gave me a pre-engagement ring. It was a jade and a pearl pre-engagement ring. And then when we got close to the wedding date, his mother gave him her diamond, and he took it to a jeweler and had it reset in a new ring that was my size, because she had worn it almost all the way through. And we got plain gold bands. We did. Yeah,
Is that the same one?
No.
I was gonna say.
No, he.
That one's been through some trials and tribulations if it's the same one.
When you were helping Mel and Gail Keller after he had surgery, you were shoveling and you had lost a lot of weight and you were skinny and you took your glove off, and apparently it went in the snow. We never found it.
You also had to cut one off, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm hard on rings. I lost my fast ring too.
And I lost mine in snow too. So I have the ring I have now. It was my dad's, and my mother had it cut down and gave it to me for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas present, something. I can't remember which now. But, yeah, we just had plain gold bands, and we had our initials and the date and engraved on the inside. It was a very simple wedding with my mother and my aunts all had a part. My Aunt Esther made the cake. My mom and I were up practically all night making, cooking a turkey, I believe. Another aunt was cooking hams, and we had potato salad and macaroni salad, and we had Jell-O, and Aunt Harriet, I guess, made the baked beans.
My mother thought it was a great meal.
It was all homemade food. We had my sister stand up, and he had asked his brother to be best man, but his brother was in the service. I think he was in Fort Rucker, and he didn't think he could get leave and come home, so he asked his best friend Steve to be best man. And at the actual wedding, we had gotten to ask anybody to be ushers. So when we got there, his two friends, John Copeland and Dick Howe, showed up early, and he said, "Hey, can you guys be the ushers?" And, "Well, what do we have to do?" And he told them what they had to do, and they did. So they served as ushers. And one of the things that I remember about, a year later, Mack's brother Craig got married, and Mack bought some Limburger cheese, and he asked Dick to put it on Craig's manifold on his car so the car would be all smelly. And Dick said afterwards, when we got in our car to leave Craig's wedding, we had the Limburger cheese on our manifold. He said, "People came to your wedding last year and wanted to put Limburger cheese on your manifold, and I wouldn't let them. So when you brought some for your brother, I said, ha, it's going on your car." It was a week or more before that burned off. It was stinky.
Yes, it was.
But that's the kind of friend Dick was. We had to stand the test of time because my mother said, "You're too young. It'll never work. I'm going to tell you so. You'll come crying to me and ask for help getting a divorce or something." And I was going to prove her wrong no matter what. So when things got rocky, as they did, I didn't tell my mother about it very much, if at all, because I didn't want to hear her say, "I told you so." And we lived far enough away that most of the time we had to depend on each other. So when things got pretty rough, had nobody to talk to but each other, so we had to work things out. When we first got married, we were more than 5 hours away from family. And then we moved a little bit closer to the Syracuse area. We were in the, Adirondacks, and then in Cobleskill. Well, Cobleskill first, and then Adirondacks, and then back to Cobleskill. And eventually we ended up in central New York for a little while, and then back to Cobleskill. We had to work it out. We had had to depend on each other.
Yes, we did.
Still do.
Do you have any advice for people of things to do or things to avoid to make your marriage last, or maybe something that you wish you'd known that you learned the hard way?
Don't get married when you're 18 and 19. That was way too young.
We literally grew up with our kids.
But otherwise, the only way this marriage lasted is because of Jesus. He's the only way that, the only one who kept us together. Otherwise, have a mentor, but probably not your parents. Your parents are good, they're helpful, but some things, they're too close to it to really be objective.
We had an older couple that I looked upon them, or her at least, as my mentor. They had been married close to 50 years when we first met them, and corresponded with them after we moved away from where they lived, and they were always, willing to give helpful advice, and not offended if we didn't follow it exactly, but they were a great example to follow. They were godly people and loved the Lord and tried to bring up their kids in the way of the Lord, and continued to pray for them even when they didn't.
And they made a great steak dinner.
That too. And I learned how to make strawberry shortcake using angel food cake and strawberries and real whipped cream.
Welcome to the 50th wedding anniversary shoe game. Da da da! Who is the man in the relationship? Who is the woman in the relationship? Alright. Don't hold it up so high, Dad.
Okay.
Just like this, because otherwise I can't see the shoe. But we get the idea. Who made the first move?
What do you mean?
Like, who initiated the relationship? Alright, there you go. Who paid on the first date? Okay. Who was the first to declare their love? Guys still thinking. They both think it was the other person. Who proposed? Who is more romantic? Okay. Who's the best driver? Who's more likely to talk their way out of a speeding ticket? I mean, that means you're equally likely to get a speeding ticket. Who's better when it comes to directions? Okay. Who's the best chef? Okay. Who's a pickier eater? No picky eaters here. Who handles the groceries? All right. Who snores louder? Blame it on the other person. All right. Who wakes up first? Who stays up later? Who is the better shower singer? Who spends more time staring at their phone? Who's more likely to start an argument? Who's more likely to finish the argument? Okay. Who's clumsier? Who's chattier? Who's funnier? Who's messier? Who's more dramatic? Who's more stubborn? Who's more organized? Who's more of a thrill seeker? Alright. Who's more adventurous? Who's better at keeping secrets? Who would last longer on a deserted island? Who's more outgoing? Who's handier? Who's more likely to cry during a sad movie? Who's more likely to arrive late for an appointment? Mom. Who's needier when they're sick? Who takes the longest to get ready? Who's more likely to lose their keys? Who's more likely to lose their wallet? Who does the dishes more? Who does the laundry more? Who's the better dancer? Who loves their spouse the most? Both of you. That's a trick question.